My name is Rebecca Salt. I'm proud to be here today. I'm the Marketing Director for Amazon Freight and Amazon Shipping. As many of you will be aware, we are starting to externalize our transportation network to enable you, our sellers, to move your goods through our network. Very similar to 25 years ago, we opened up our marketplace for sellers. Amazon Shipping is our parcel delivery service. We deliver orders from your channels directly to your customers using the Amazon network. And Amazon Freight offers full truckload and just launched less than truckload inbound to Amazon. But the next half an hour is an intersection of technology, operational discipline, and network design, the choices that will make your fulfillment effective and work. We decided that rather than do a feature tour, we will unpack the reasoning behind some of the decisions, why certain placement and optimization can work and when it can't, and why the difference matters to your business and your growth strategy. I'm really excited to be joined on stage by two experts from Zone Prep and Pattern, and I'll try and keep us focused on clear takeaways, but I think we're going to jump into a lot of stuff as we chat today. So I'd like to make a warm welcome to Rob Hahn, COO at Pattern, and Keyvon Nazarian, who's the CEO at Zone Prep. Thank you both for being here. Now, I know most people here will know you, your businesses, but can I just ask, Rob, I'm going to ask you to start, do an intro of who you are, your background, and the business.
Yeah, said I'm Rob. I am the COO at Pattern. I've been at Pattern for 3 years. I started my career at Amazon. I was an intern way back when. Started in 2010 as an intern. I was there for 8 years at Amazon, left as Director of Operations running Amazon Robotics Fulfillment Centers. Super cool time to be at Amazon. For those in the room that are during that time, it was really a quite fun time to be. Amazon got a little too big for me, if I'm super honest,
Fun fact, I launched Amazon Robotics in Europe.
There you go. Very cool. Yeah, so I was in one of the first AR sites here in the US, which was really quite fun. I mean, just a cool life experience, people taking bets on me very early in my career. Obviously, I look 15. It's like one of those blessing curse situations. But I had a cool opportunity to be at Amazon during that time. I left in 2018 to join a startup called Whitebox, there for 4 years as the COO. And then we exited the fulfillment business to UPS, and I joined Pattern right about that same time. So I lead global operations. Pattern is a global accelerator, so we work with brands directly and get them in marketplaces globally, as well as we do kind of end-to-end supply chain services as well.
Sounds cool. Keyvon.
Yes, I'm Keyvon Nazarian, CEO of Zone Prep. Started off as an Amazon seller myself at the early age of 11 years old in my parents' garage.
What were you selling?
Anything I could make money on. And started young and really always kept prep and labeling in-house. Growing up, my mom always told me if you want something done right, to do it yourself. So never turned to a 3PL, really understood how important getting things done right was to my business at the time. And over the past decade, I've actually shifted from being a seller on Amazon to starting Zone Prep and growing Zone Prep to a leading FBA prep 3PL where we service other Amazon sellers and really help fast track their inventory into FBA, recover from missed forecasting quicker, and offer FBA prep and kitting and bundling.
Sounds good. All right, I'm going to jump in. I want to start with placement. I think placement is easy to get wrong, and if you don't get it right, if you get it right, it's a real game changer. So when you both think about design placement logic, what principles help you balance customer promise with cost and availability? Rob, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think, it's been quite the journey within the Amazon network. If you're a seller, you've identified and seen all the change within placement within Amazon's own internal inbound network and continue to see changes that happen there. The foundational truth is that placement is actually a good concept, right? Getting things as close to the end consumer as humanly possible increases conversion, it reduces cost, it increases speed, all of that. But getting to that is actually quite hard. So it's been interesting as you think about where to put buildings, for example. It's really about where are you shipping product into Amazon's network, and as that's changed, has been quite challenging. So for us, one of the things, we're the largest seller on Amazon globally, right? So we send in a lot of our own stuff. We also send in a bunch of other sellers as well, use our network to send things in. And one of the things we really focus on is is avoiding large singular shipments, because you actually want to get to, like, a lot of times sellers are trying to get to the fewest number of locations possible to avoid placement fees, but actually you want to get in the right number of locations. And that actually means if you have enough density, which most sellers can't get that density, we're sending full truckloads into Amazon, right? So if you care less about trying to optimize a singular shipment, we do very frequent shipments, smaller, more frequent shipments to more places, and that actually ends up delivering a really good spread within Amazon, and allows us to do overall lower inventory, right? So placement is not something to shy away from and try to figure out how to navigate, and avoid. It's actually super critical. Like, the best thing you can do potentially for your ad effectiveness and your conversion is actually a supply chain strategy, right? If you do that the right way and you put your inventory into the right buildings, it matters a lot. So our focus is not reducing down the number of places we go, but instead how many places are the right, or how many should we be sending to, and optimizing for that.
And I assume that that's helped if you have the data.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, it's really hard not to, well, I mean, forecasting is impossible, right? Really, like, forecasting is wrong every single time, literally every single time. It's a question about how close you can get and how fast you can recover. And so being able to be really fast in, you have to have the data about where to send it and how to handle that and what's optimal and what's not. So I think you're absolutely right.
And from your side, what are you seeing as the trade-offs?
Yeah, great question. Amazon, as you're well aware, has made a pretty massive change to their inbound network this past year with the introduction of regionalization of the inbound network. And I think that creates an awesome opportunity for Amazon sellers to actually benefit. And a lot of sellers do struggle with, shipping to as little facilities as possible. But as Rob said, the more you ship to, the closer and faster you can get inventory closer to customer demand.
And actually, I wanted to touch on regionalization a bit more. With Amazon has moved to a regionalized network, and that has enabled us to get customer orders to the customer quicker. But it's also helped with things like sustainability, because we're traveling less on the trucks with truck miles. How should that be impacting a seller's supply chain decision? How can you mitigate some of the risks with this?
Yeah, great question. I think having inventory bi-coastal is crucial in order to benefit from the Amazon regionalization.
Yeah. Anything for you, Dad?
Yeah, I think the reality is this is hard. I mean, like, Amazon is, am I allowed to say this? Amazon's the hardest place to send things into in the world. Am I allowed to say that? No?
You're allowed to say whatever you want.
Okay, all right, great.
I'm not commenting.
No, I mean, like, I met with the FBA teams, and this is probably like a year ago now, and they were like, look, we want to make it as easy as we can while still not sacrificing any of the benefits of getting closer and doing better. And so Amazon's been on this journey of figuring out how to optimize for customers, but that has come by adding complexity for sellers, right? There's actually no way to do both of those things in most scenarios. It's kind of a no-win situation if we both have the goal of getting it to consumers. So I think for so many sellers, it's a really difficult decision point between, do I send to a national cross-dock and pay the placement fee, for example, or do I regionalize and actually do the regionalization well? It's an almost impossible decision because it's so expensive and takes longer. It adds something like over a week in some scenarios for stuff to go through a national cross-dock. It's a really difficult decision for sellers and brands. So it is a pretty critical thing to be able to work with someone, I think, to be able to get that density if you can't get it on your own. I think truly that is one of the biggest pieces. Otherwise, you're really struggling.
And a lot of sellers really, in their kind of equation, and do I ship to a national inbound cross-dock or do I ship to 5 regionals, they really just look at the placement fee and the transportation costs in the equation, but there's far more that needs to be considered in terms of lead time and the additional FC transfer time that shipping to an NIXD takes versus shipping to 5 regionals. And a lot of sellers don't quite grasp that because they don't have the data and they don't understand the additional lead time that comes with such a decision.
I think that's critical. It's not a black and white regional, less movements. But if you were to say the guiding principles, those would be the key ones you'd be looking at.
Absolutely. Always, I think anyone would say it's always better to ship to the regional IXDs versus shipping to a national IXD from at least a placement perspective and getting inventory closer to customer demand as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Well, I want to just change direction a little bit. I don't think it'll surprise anybody that there's been some recent global events, policy changes that have impacted sellers' supply chain decisions. What long-term strategic decisions should sellers consider when thinking about the changes that are coming? I'll get your view on this one.
Absolutely. I think sellers understand that Amazon's network is continuing to evolve, and to Rob's point, forecasting is always wrong. And setting up your supply chain in a way that allows you to recover as quickly as possible, and knowing that you'll never get forecasting right is crucial in any planning. As you look long term in building your business and your supply chain, it's all about speed, not how much inventory can you carry. It's really about how little inventory can you carry and still run the channel.
And how do you sort of look at flexibility and scalability in that scenario?
Yeah, I mean, if we think about the supply chain in a couple different pieces, like one is manufacturing, like where do you manufacture? I mean, obviously with tariffs coming this year, it's kicked everybody for, it's actually been a weird thing. I was like talking to my mom and she's like, what do you think about tariffs? I was like, I think about tariffs all the time. Like this is the first time you've ever thought about tariffs, right? Like it's been around, it's not new, but it's obviously come to the forefront. But I don't think the problem is any different than it has been in the past for so many sellers. Like, I think the biggest thing, and I talk to a lot of brands around this time, it's like, just take a breath. Like, these are long-term decisions. Don't sacrifice don't blow yourself up and blow up your supply chain in order to react to a thing. It's really about like, where should you be manufacturing is no different now than it was a year ago, for example. You should probably be in multiple locations. You should have some redundancy. So I think it just brings to the forefront of like, how do we get things into the US in the most effective way possible? And that might be in, where are you manufacturing? Close, near shoring, onshore, whatever that would be. But then within the US, I think one of the hardest things is how much inventory should I hold? How many days? Like, that kind of problem is really, really quite difficult to be able to handle. And there's all types of solutions that are changing there. So the scalability and flexibility is, I would say, like, one of the things I tell brands all the time is most brands in most situations don't need to spread their inventory across 50 warehouses, for example. You actually hurt yourself if your inventory is not fungible and flexible within a singular location where you can then choose. Because most people are not just selling on Amazon, right? Like they're selling on their Shopify store. Yeah, exactly. So in order to be able to have that flexibility, you really need to keep inventory in a more central location or at least have the accessibility to that inventory. Otherwise, you back yourself into a corner if it's stranded. Like every single brand in here, if I were to ask, like, has anyone had too much or too little inventory? Everyone's gonna say yes. Like, have you ever had something stranded in the wrong place? Everybody does that. The only way you can reduce that is really by thinking about utilizing the fewest number of locations possible to keep that flexibility and fungibility. There's exceptions to that, but that's generally how I think about it.
And another great thing about having your inventory in as little facilities as possible is it really helps your density and your inbound process for sure.
So inventory is critical, and no surprise to anyone here, we're heading into peak season. What are the key considerations for sellers to ensure smooth inventory flow and availability, and how this year do you think it's going to be different from other years?
I think as Amazon continues to grow the inbound network, getting ahead of the peak season initially is crucial. But being able to recover really quickly and continue inbound inventory through peak is just as important. Not only front loading the inventory, but also being able to continuously replen through Q4 is crucial.
I actually take a little bit of a different approach there. We actually don't try to load too much in. Our goal, again, is speed is super important. The distance between like an average seller, like so last year, for example, like I think the average seller was over 30 days to get it into Amazon's network through LTL or whatever. There's a lot going on last year, but no matter what, if you've been in this ecosystem for a while, no matter what, it is hard and longer, especially for like LTL shipments, that consolidation gets harder. Last year we were like 4.5 days or something like that. And what that allows us to do, that's average across the US to regional and then into Amazon, that allows us to be able to say, let's not load up. Because what happens when you've probably seen this if you got expiration date, items, for example. If we send too much into Amazon, Amazon says, I don't actually need this much. That inventory is not going to end up on the coasts. It's going to end up in El Paso, Texas. Is anybody from El Paso?
I was going to say.
Fucking El Paso, right? No, like, it's going to end up in the wrong place where humans aren't, right? And so we really focus on that consistent flow as much as we can. Now, there's always going to be some bump, but we actually don't front load. we do our best to, if we stay very, very quick throughout peak, which is way easier said than done.
I was just going to say, how easy is that?
It's hard for, and this is where density matters a lot, right? Like those of us that have crazy density, we're sending full truckloads. We're doing some fluid loading into Amazon, right? Like, so it's not magic. We don't get special treatment. We have teams of people focused on this that their entire job is to get things into Amazon because of the scale, the density that we have. We're able to invest that way. So for me, it really is, what's going to be different, we're not going to be, well, hopefully you tell me, are we going to be launching a bunch of cross stocks this year? Hopefully not in Q4?
I don't get that information.
I know, I'm just, like the...
Nice try.
Yeah, thank you. I was like, we're all curious. No, like there's always gonna be, right? They've always done 10 cross docks, and I would expect some to come on board, but different than last year, I think Amazon's network is settled a lot more than last year.
Yeah.
And so I would expect it to be much smoother, but there's still that delay no matter how you slice it. It's gonna be tough to manage.
Yeah. And I suppose one of the things, there's a lot of entrepreneurs here. There are a lot of people that have had a business idea, whether it was, you started at 11 in your mum's garage, but a lot of people have these great ideas, and then they suddenly start to grow their business, and then the supply chain starts to become a really big headache. And I've been in this industry 25 years, and I know that that's what keeps people up, because when it goes wrong, it can really damage your business. You both have been doing this for a long time. What strategies can growing sellers, what can they do to balance their inventory levels, shipping frequency, overall supply chain costs as their businesses are taking off and growing?
Yeah, definitely think being able to recover quickly is crucial, and the effects of supply chain are cascading. A lot of sellers look at, how can we reduce our marketing budget, or how can we, increase our marketing budget and become more effective in marketing. But the effects that a well-run supply chain can benefit far more than the supply chain segment of a business, from being able to prevent stockouts, but have closer inventory to customers, and how that can increase buy box and search results, I think is often overlooked.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I am pretty passionate that we have to give customers really clear estimated delivery dates to help them make their buying decision. And if you don't hit that delivery promise, they're going to basically like, do I want to order from you again? So I think that the supply chain it's complex, it can be expensive, but it can be a growth lever.
For sure, you can't lose a customer over a delivery date.
No.
Yeah, I think for a brand to be successful, they have to be world-class in two things, right? Selling stuff and moving stuff. A lot of brands that have great ideas. I mean, if you talk about a reseller, like I can find anything, I'm doing arbitrage, like that's scrappy. But if you're really thinking about building a brand, which is like most of the people probably in this room, they're really good at generally doing one of those two things. It's usually not moving stuff, right? The collision of people that are very good at creating a product and those that are really good at supply chain are generally, like that crossover doesn't happen a ton. So they usually can get off the ground, like getting 0 to 1. They're like, okay, cool, I have Bill in the warehouse, he's a really good guy, like he's logging into Seller Central. But the reality is when you get over even a few $1 million on Amazon, it becomes really challenging, right? And so I think concentration of knowledge in this, this is not commoditized at all. And like the logistics and fulfillment space, we are still very far from the average like logistics provider, for example, or person doing this, even if it's not someone else, to like those of us up doing this at massive scale is dramatic. Yeah. And so I think practically speaking, what's got you here is unlikely to get you there. And generally we see a ton of brands that have like, hey, I've been doing it myself and I'm now at $10 million or $15 million. And now I'm like, I'm out of my depth. Bill in the warehouse can't do that thing anymore, right? And Bill's probably great, fantastic, but he doesn't have the knowledge to navigate that scale and size. So generally we see brands kind of navigate, okay, how do I continue doing the thing I'm great at, which is the selling and the building great products? And how do we make sure that we are investing in that? That generally comes as you scale with one of us that has that like already built in and that knowledge. Because a lot of the brands, their margin is entirely in fulfillment, and like all of their dollars they keep are in transportation. It's such a huge percentage of the cost.
And if you get it right, you can really reduce your costs.
Oh, absolutely, but it's more than just cost. You're right, like we talked about before. If you get the right placement, and that's what's fun about actually the Amazon ecosystem is if you get the logistics and fulfillment right, it actually can unlock more sales opportunities. Like, it really can be the most strategic sales tool you have is your fulfillment strategy, which is fun for those of us in fulfillment. Like, that's not always, you can't always say that.
I think we can all say we're logistics nerds.
We're all
That's
warehouse
correct.
nerds.
Yes, absolutely. But that's the truth in this ecosystem specifically. So it becomes just so critically important on both the cost and the opportunity side.
And following on from that, I think as these brands grow, and we know the supply chain can really help that growth. One of the things that is a big investment is technology tools. I think Amazon, we've been very lucky in terms of we have built an incredible tech stack. Now we're using a lot of AI, for example, to drive, that we can look at, data from multiple channels now. We can look at placement. We have all these things that we're feeding into the AI algorithms, and it's giving us a lot of options. How can you help your partners do more with tech?
For sure. A simple example I have of that is removing the thought and decision making out of people. In a warehouse environment, we have invested heavy into tech where technology tells associates what to do, and it removes a lot of error, but also increases efficiency. And tech is a way to really optimize not only supply chain, but the entire Amazon business. We use tech in kind of all processes from inbound receiving to even outbound scheduling. It's very powerful and is a driver, a necessity.
And it increases accuracy.
Absolutely.
I think for me, the goal is not technology. The goal is to solve problems. And it's like whatever that tool might be. It might be a spreadsheet is the right level of technology for that problem. It might be very manual is the right technology for that, or something super complex like our own internal, between our facilities, we're sending transfers. This is the fastest way to get it to X, Y, and Z, right? There's a huge level. And so what are the problems that we're trying to solve with the brand? And I kind of break down, there's kind of three pieces, right? You've got data, insights, and actions. You talk a lot about data. We are a data company. We've got some 46 trillion data points, and you guys have a quadrillion, bajillion, whatever.
I don't even think we know the number.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
How could you? But even with that, that data is kind of worthless if you don't have insights, so you know what to do with that data. And then it's a series of actions. So I think for us, not only what happens within our warehouse, we built all of our own technology, all of everything ourselves in-house, but the reality is not only just in the warehouse, but helping a brand make a decision, we present data, we present insights, and then those insights that can create actions, we either enable them or we do it for them, right? So I think each one of those, any tool that exists needs to be doing one of those, or it's just interesting, it's not actually impactful, right? And so we got to be careful not to, AI is such a thing, but the reality is it's a tool. It's been around in different forms for a while. It's not actually that fresh. It's just more mainstream. It's really about how do we solve problems?
Yeah.
And the best tool for that generally is going to be the one that removes decision points, that allows people to make which three of those are the problems we're trying to solve, and find the right tool for the job.
And reduces touch points.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm just going to come to you. I think this is a sort of a relevant question. Amazon is ending prep services. I know we've had an announcement today that some of this is going to become virtual labels. How should sellers approach their prep strategy if they're not sure about how to think about the change with Amazon?
I think, again, sellers need to look long-term in any decision they make for their supply chain. Looking long-term is really the only way to look forward. We help, as you know, Amazon sellers with prep. That's kind of the core service our company offers. But I think prep, when evaluating prep partners, it's really looking at not just prep, 55 cents for a label versus 53 cents for a label. It's looking at the supply chain from there into Amazon is much more important in that evaluation process.
So we're kind of coming to the end of the session. Is there one last thought that you'd like to leave the audience with today?
I think, again, it's just really looking long-term in any supply chain decision made and looking forward, looking how to run leaner. We look at sellers that like to stock a lot of inventory, and it ties up a ton of working capital. And I think one of the biggest takeaways is to run as lean as possible and dedicate as little inventory as necessary to run the channel at 100%.
From your side?
I think that I think one of the most challenging pieces of being we're a seller. We're all kind of solving these same type of problems. We're trying to have great customer experience. We're trying to reduce down our costs. We're trying to navigate this. I think that there's a lot of tools and resources out there. There's a lot of teams and people to support. Like we do prep for third-party sellers. We do transportation. We do reimbursements. Like all of these things, the complexity is increasing over time.
Yeah.
Not only for sellers, but like Amazon also, and every other channel, like the Walmarts, like all of those. It's becoming a more complex environment in general, and so brands that need to navigate that. I'd say not alone. I think that we're trying to all solve the same problem in so many ways, and there's a lot of winners in this space. There's a lot of really great folks. I think I would give a piece of advice that, like, to your point as well, is don't choose like the cheapest thing and go with that, because like you get what you pay for in this world very much. It is not commoditized. This is harder than you think it is, I'm not the cheapest solution. I know you're not the cheapest solution out there, and it's not. No qualms there, right? Like finding the right partner is going to have a dramatic, profound impact on your business, far more than saving 12 cents on a label or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say, I think for me, it's think about the customer. You want those repeat purchases, which means you have to have an effective network that gets those orders there on time, regardless of channel.
I mean, that's the brilliance of,
Yeah.
I mean, Prime really, I think the brilliance of me for Prime, I can only speak of my experience, but like it's actually consistency, right? Like I think about it, this is probably not, Amazon Prime, not pun. I think about a McDonald's cheeseburger a lot, because does anybody like a McDonald's cheeseburger? No, put your hand down, Eric. You're wrong. Shut up. You're wrong. No, but the brilliance of this is actually that if I go to a McDonald's in California or New York or wherever, it's
the same.
It's the same. It's what I expect. And the brilliance of Prime is that consistency. It's like I know it's going to show up in my door, and it's that trust that's been built up. When it's not, I'm like, oh man, that's insane.
And then the returns are easy.
That's exactly right. Right. So it's like, how do you build that up? I actually think scalability is more important than precision in so many ways. Like even if you can't get there next day, but you can get there in a day. How do you just build that trust? Because it's so easy to break with the consumer, and I think that is it's getting harder to do that thing for sure every day.
Well, thank you both very much, and thank you everybody for being here today.